Top of the morning from beautiful downtown Baltimore.
Morning and welcome to Top of the Morning
At Top of the World.
I'm your host, James Lewis.
I'm Michelle Leon.
And we are here today with Tom Saunders with Renaissance Productions and Tours. Tom, how are you?
Oh, thank you.
Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about your touring company.
Well, Renaissance Productions and Tours dates back to 1990. And really it was the concept of the late Dr. Thelma Banks Cox. She was the former assistant superintendent of Baltimore City Public Schools, and she founded the African American Heritage Society. And when Dr. Cox died, she left the tour to me, and so that's how Renaissance Productions and Tours began.
Yeah, is this nonprofit?
No, this is a for-profit. This is for-profit.
Okay.
Initially, it started out as nonprofit, as the Black Landmarks Tour and a part of the African American Heritage Society. But Renaissance Productions and Tours is a for-profit business.
Now, you actually have different tours that you take people on.
Absolutely.
Can you describe the different tours that you have?
Yes, I'm saying we have the Black Landmarks Tour, which was created by Dr. Cox. And that has a variety of things, but it's all related to black contributions to Baltimore City. And that tour starts at the NAACP National Headquarters. And from there, we visit the Orchard Street Church, home of the Underground Railroad. From there, we go to the St. Francis Academy, which is the oldest continuously operating black educational institution in the United States. And then the tour concludes at the Great Blacks in Wax. But it's also designed that you pick up the homes of famous Baltimoreans, like the birthplace of Thurgood Marshall. You see the black statues that we have in the city, streets named after famous African Americans, and the fine black institutions that you have here. So by the time we wrap it up in the Great Blacks in Wax, there's a section of Baltimoreans. And at the conclusion of the tour, you will have visited or seen a location associated with all of those people in Wax in that section.
Wow, that is absolutely fabulous.
Now, another thing that we have is the Underground Railroad Tour.
Okay.
Now, the Underground Railroad Tour starts in Towson, Maryland, and it starts at the Hampton Historic Site. And so there you get an example of what slaves were running away from. Because that was an industrial plantation, we always hear about the Southern blacks picking cotton and things there. So these people actually picked trees. Because it was an industrial plantation, it was their job to cut trees so that they would have wood for the furnaces, because they would melt the iron ore. And so that's what the industrial plantation produced. Mount Clair was also an industrial plantation. And so the old records are there from the Ridgely family, and you can see about the runaways, that were posted. And there was one slave that wrote to her former master. She wanted her fur muff, and she wanted her silk dress that she left. So she came to Baltimore, and she was sued for that material.
Really?
So, and I know that there's people say, well, where did she get a silk dress? But, evidently, people always had means of getting things. So on that tour, we leave Towson, Maryland, the Hampton Historic Site, and we come into Baltimore, and we stop at the Orchard Street Church, home of the Underground Railroad. There, the two conductors of the Underground Railroad were Truman Pratt and Basil Hall. From there, we go to the President Street Station, which was recently listed as on the National Register as a part of the Underground Railroad. And we know for a fact that Henry Box Brown's box came through that train station. He's the most famous black that was packed in a box and mailed to freedom. And we also visit the McKim Center that was run by the Quakers, and that was said to be a part of the Underground Railroad. And so Baltimore just has all of this rich history. Now, another tour that we get that's in demand now is the Civil Rights Tour. I consider Baltimore to be the cradle of the Civil Rights movement. Because, there was a march on Baltimore back in 1958 with Marion Bascom, and then we had early civil rights leaders like Harvey Johnson, and so we visit the Union Baptist Church. He was one of the noted ministers from that church, and he worked with W.E.B. Du Bois and organizing the Niagara movement, which eventually became the NAACP. Also, we have the Trinity Baptist Church. That church dates back to 1888, and two of its pastors, Reverend Diggs and Reverend Waller, also worked with the Niagara movement. We visit the Sharp Street Church, because Lily Carl Jackson, that was her church in the Mitchell family, and we know of their legendary contributions to civil rights. We have a courthouse here in Baltimore named in honor of Clarence Mitchell Jr., and he was referred to as the 101st senator, even though there are only 100 senators in the U.S. Senate. But he was an advisor to President Kennedy and mainly Lyndon Baines Johnson, and he was instrumental in crafting the civil rights legislation that's enacted today.
There's all this rich history in Baltimore. Is there an archive that someone can?
Yes, the churches have archives. For example, Sharp Street Church has an archive across the street, and you can go there, and they have Frederick Douglass crystal mugs on display. Frederick Douglass actually sang in the choir to Sharp Street Church. And so all of this rich history is in the records of the churches, because they were the religious and social institutions for African Americans.
Right, because they were the social gathering point for, we didn't have clubs, we had the church.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Now, how are individuals, when they participate on a tour, how are they traveling? Is it by bus?
They're traveling by bus. And they can even travel two ways on our luxury motor coaches that we provide. And a lot of our business, are students. So they come in on school buses, and we step on their school buses.
Okay. So you have tour guides that would then
We have tour
actually-
guides that would step on tour guides that would accommodate them.
And what's the average number to the group that goes on the tour?
Anywhere from 30 to 40 people per bus.
And how long do the tours normally
Okay.
last?
The average tour is a 4-hour tour. Oh, and one of the things that we sell on the tour is the shoebox lunches. And the shoebox lunches are replicas of the lunches that blacks traveled with during the days of, during the migration period, especially coming to Baltimore. A lot of people migrated here from North Carolina and from Virginia. And when they would come in during the 1940s and 50s, you would always see them on the bus with a greasy shoebox. And the reason why they had the greasy shoebox, their grandmothers would fry, pan-fried chicken wrapped in wax paper, and they would have pound cake and all of this good food they would have in the shoebox. Because of segregation, they couldn't eat at the lunch counter at the Greyhound bus station. So they had to travel with this great food. And so, just as a reminder of how things used to be, we give them a great lunch just like the grandmother used to give them.
All right. You didn't bring any samples with you today?
No, I don't have any today.
How long have you been involved with Renaissance Productions?
I've been involved with Renaissance Productions since 1990.
And how did you first get involved?
As I mentioned before, Thelma Cox died, and so left the Black Landmarks Tour to me. So I decided to form a for-profit organization, and so I did that in 1990.
But how did she come to leave it to you?
Well, she didn't have any children, and one of the things we hooked up. I used to be the official historian for blacks in Maryland's horse racing industry. Now that's a whole nother topic of all the great jockeys and trainers that come from the state of Maryland. And so then the African American Heritage Society was one of my sponsors, and so that's how we made the connection.
Okay, we're actually going to go to the morning. We've been joined with Jim Cornelison, who is the director, well not director, you helped create, founder of the all-male choir here in Baltimore.
Interdenominational all-male choir. All right. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So
Pleasure to be here.
tell us a little bit about what the choir's doing.
The Baltimore Regional Community Male Chorus, trade name BRC Male
BRC.
Chorus, because it flows much easier, BRC, is an interdenominational, community-based all-male choir. Now, I'm not emphasizing male choir, but all of our vocalists right now are males. And we come together, have a mission to sing a variety of music, such as anthems, hymns, classics. When I say classics, I mean You Never Walk Alone, The Impossible Dream, I Believe. I call these classics. And spirituals.
Okay.
And that's what we do, and we try to emphasize or accent parts of the music that should be louder than other parts, in order to produce a quality type of music. And that's what we do. We have approximately 20 men, active men, about 30 on the roll, but 20 that are active. And we rehearse the second and fourth Saturday of every month, with the exception of July and August. Hard to get men together the second and fourth Saturdays. We try to get them together during July and August. It's another problem. And we're a 501c3 organization, as
Okay.
authorized by the Internal Revenue Code. And we're also sales and usage tax exempt in the state of Maryland.
And also with us, we have Tom Saunders with Renaissance Productions and Tours.
Thank you for having me.
So now, Tom, you worked on a music tour that took place earlier this year.
Yes, it was called Were It Not for the Music.
Mm-hmm.
And so what made the tour different is that we interpreted all of the landmarks through music. You know, for example, usually when you go to the Winter Street Church, you see Verna Day, who portrays Harriet Tubman, but we added music, Marco Merrick, and a choir with some of the members of the Douglas Memorial Choir.
And we, you know what? We actually have a clip.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Oh,
of
okay.
course we do.
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
Okay. Okay, so throughout the city at the landmarks, we interpret history through music. So you see at the Orchard Street Church, they were singing songs of the Underground
That
Railroad,
was
such as
impressive, yeah.
Wade in the Water, which meant literally wade in the water so the dogs would lose your scent.
Right.
And so at the Sharp Street Church, the theme there, we concentrate on the anthems and the Negro National Anthem because that's where the NAACP meetings would take place under the direction of Lily Curl Jackson.
We actually have a clip.
Okay.
So let's take a look at that. Wow, that was great.
Oh, and Union Baptist Church, the theme is old time religion. And I understand you have a clip as well.
We do have a clip of that
Thank you so
also.
much.
So let's take a look at that right now.
And because Baltimore is known for its jazz, we have Dr. Reppert Stone, who conducts the jazz workshops for us at the Art Social Club. And by the way, the Art Social Club is the oldest black men's social club in the state of Maryland, dating back to 1912.
So, Jim, now, do you have any upcoming concerts?
For the fall, and they're non-scheduled. They're non-scheduled. However, we're using this time